Hi, welcome back to another episode of Ben's Machines. We're continuing to work on the LS tractor rebuild. This is the XR3135 tractor by LS. So far what I have installed is the engine, the differential, the front frame to the rear portion of the tractor. Today what I'm going to install is the hydraulic pump as well as the power steering pump. So I'll show you where that goes on the tractor right over here. This is the front of the engine. This is the location where the power steering pump goes. As you can see, it's driven off the engine, and there's a spline shaft that mates with this component right here. Over on this side is the location where the hydraulic pump is located. There's two bolts, and there's also a spline shaft on the hydraulic pump that mates with a gear in here. So that's what we're going to install today. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my workbench and I'll just show you the pumps. This is the hydraulic pump. This is the power steering pump. I have the two gaskets already glued to the pump. I'm using a gasket maker, high temperature. So what I'm going to do now is put a bead of gasket maker on the engine. And I'll do the same on this side. Now I'm going to install the power steering pump. So I'm just going to line up the shaft as close as possible to the splines in here. Oh, it looks like this is in the way. So let me put this down. I'll just take this out of the way, put it here for now. You want to make sure that this surface is up and this fitting right here is down when you install it. You may have to wiggle it a bit to get it in place. There you go. There's a lock washer and a nut. And then I'll put the other one on down below here. Now because there's a gasket and gasket maker, I'm going to snug up these nuts, but I'm not going to tighten them too much because I don't want to collapse. I don't want to entirely collapse the sealant. So I have to get my number 12. What I'm going to do now, while I'm still putting things back together, I'm just going to stuff a piece of paper towel in that hole just to keep any foreign contaminants from falling in. So the power steering pump is installed. I have a little bit of paper towel just shoved in the opening just to keep any foreign contaminants from falling in. I'm going to go over to the bench and grab the hydraulic pump and we'll install that. Okay, here's the hydraulic pump. The low pressure side is here in. So hydraulic fluid comes in here under low pressure and it's sent out here or through this fitting high pressure side. So it goes in on the tractor in this direction. I have the two 14mm bolts we're going to install. So what I ended up doing is, to make this job go smoother, I removed the, right in this location there was a sensor. It's either the oil pressure or oil temperature sending unit. So I've unscrewed it just to allow better access for me to get this equipment installed. So just like the other side, just need to try to line up the shaft with the spline and get it seated in place. Put a bolt in to keep it in place there for now. I think the bolt is started now. Get the bottom one in. Okay, that's a good sign. As you can see, the holes are lined up well enough that I can insert the bolt by hand, along with the bolt on the bottom as well. Just tighten up this bolt. Okay, so hydraulic pump is bolted in place. I have these two 14mm bolts tightened down pretty well. I'll come in after and tighten them down. Maybe after I get the engine heated up for the first time. Just come back after, make sure all these bolts are nice and snug because I don't want any leaks. What I'm going to do is put another piece of paper towel in this hole to keep any foreign contaminants out. The next thing I'm going to do is install that right in this location right here. I'm going to come in and I'm going to install that oil pressure, oil temperature sending unit, which is going to go right there. And here's the lead that actually plugs into the end of it. So we'll do that next. So here's that sending unit that I was telling you about. I put some RTV sealant on the threads, and I've removed the tab that's threaded on the end here. I did that so that I can use my 15/16 socket in order to get this part installed. Okay, so I'll start by putting it in place by hand. So I'm just going to move the sending or the wire out of the way, get it lined up, and then just thread this into the engine block. Now there's very small threads on this equipment, okay? So when you come in here to tighten this in, or to tighten it into the engine block, just be careful you don't over tighten it. You don't want to strip this equipment, okay? So just get it in there snug. So I would even be satisfied with just that. So I'm just going to get my ratchet on the end. I'm just going to give it a little bit of torque, but not too much. So I'm just going to make it snug. Just like that. With the combination of the RTV silicone, that's plenty good. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to install the little brass tab. I'm going to put some blue Loctite on the Phillips screw and then install it and then connect the lead. Okay, now I'm going to reconnect the wire and listen for the click. There we go. Okay, so that's done. Alright, so the next part I'm going to install is the hydraulic inlet line. And it's this tube right here. This connects from underneath the tractor. It comes all the way up and it feeds the hydraulic pump here and it feeds the power steering pump here. And this is all located right here on the tractor. So I need to get this pipe down in here and I need to get this and this to line up on here. So let's do that. Alright, so now we've got the pipe kind of like wiggled in place. What I'm going to do now is remove the paper towel. We don't want that in place. And I'm going to set this on top here. By the way, you want to make sure that the surfaces are clean underneath, which they are. And I'm going to just lay this on top just like this for now. Okay, so what I need to do, I think first is I'm going to climb underneath and I'm going to connect the pipe underneath. Okay, so this is this pipe. There's a rubber collar, and that rubber collar is going to have to mate up with this pipe right here. So all I need to do is slide this over top of here and you can see where the line is. Well, that basically shows where the rubber this rubber gasket has to go, or this rubber union. So looks like there's a little bit of paper towel shoved in here. That's probably to keep the oil from coming out. So I'm going to pull this out quickly and shove this in place. Oh, here I was expecting more oil to come out, but there's barely any oil here left. So just get this pipe in place, or slide this over. There. That just slides on like this. I'm going to just move the rubber union more or less in the position where it has to be. And then I'll go get my battery drill with the right size socket and I'll just tighten these up. Just going to back this one off a bit to make it easier to turn. Probably want to set these up so they're not in the way. Just trying to think where did the manufacturer have it? Actually, I think the manufacturer had it right there, just by the notch. So I'll put it right back where it was. This one. Okay. There. That's it. So this is the bolt that's going to go here by the hydraulic, right here by the hydraulic pump. So it's going to slide in here. Make sure you have your two copper crush washers in place. So I'm going to slide that in next. Impressive. There's a little bit of play in this line. We'll have to go back in, make sure that things are tight and secure. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, so that bolt goes there. So the next step is we're going to install these three 10 millimeter bolts down in here to secure to the power steering pump. May need to just have to wiggle this a bit in order to get the pipe to seat properly to the pump, which I think we have done here. And I'll just take my 1/4 inch drive and I'll just snug these up. Remember, you're threading into aluminum, so you don't want to over tighten because you will strip that. So I've got that tightened up. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to install these two 17 millimeter bolts. These bolts already have some anti-seize on them, and where these go, they go right here. So they basically hold this bracket. It's essentially a bracket that's bolted to the engine block, which just keeps this set of hydraulic connections secure. Okay, I'm going to get these two bolts installed next. I'll see if I can get them started by hand first. I wanted to get all my hydraulic lines dealt with first before putting this in place. The next step we're going to do is we're going to connect the high pressure hydraulic line, which is this item right here. Here's the connector off the pump right here, and there's another connection or connector right back here. Right here where my finger is. Okay? So I'm going to put a little bit of anti-seize paste on those threads, and I'll just put those on finger tight. Okay, and I'm hoping that there might be a little bit of play in this line underneath here so that I can get these two mated up. Just loosen that a bit just to afford a little bit of play. There we go. That's good. I'm just putting a little bit of upward pressure on the line, and I'm getting this finger tight. And I will get my adjustable wrench in here to make sure that these connections, this connection down here, and this connection up here, I'll make sure that all those are tight when we do the first startup. Okay, the next thing we're going to install is this hydraulic hose. So this is the high pressure or the pressurized side for the power steering pump. So It's going behind the firewall down here by the engine, you know, down here, and it's going to thread into this fitting right here. Okay? This fitting is going to thread right into here. Just like so. Okay? So I'm going to put some anti-seize paste on that and install it. I'm going in behind here and then just thread that on. There you go. That's it. Okay. Well, there you have it. We've installed the power steering pump, the hydraulic pump, the supply line, the pressurized lines, and including the bolts that hold this bracket in place. Things are really coming along on this tractor. We're going to end the video right here, but in the next video we're going to continue with some of the assembly of the parts that go up here up front. So we're going to install, you know, the radiator support, the air cleaner, the engine control unit, all kinds of things. It's going to be exciting because this project, this rebuild is really coming together fast.